Ta-da! I did it! Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you've never been here before, I'm Fat Sajak. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. We're gonna do we're gonna do two topics today. So typically I don't like to cover a topic and then immediately cover that same topic or person. But this video is kind of like a follow-up to my last video. So if you'll indulge me, and I think you will. You like to hear what I have to say, don't you? Today we're gonna talk about Colleen Ballinger, rent's due, or whatever. We're gonna yap, all right? Sound good? You like yapping? Good, because I've been doing enough of it for both of us. I wish you'd chime in. Anyway, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you wouldn't want to miss any of this. Make sure you like the video if you want to manifest it being a good one. And I also have a Patreon where we watch nostalgia content. We've been making our way through the Teen Mom series, OG, and Teen Mom 2. We're almost done with season 5 of Teen Mom 2. We just finished season 1 of Teen Mom OG. We started with 2 because I like it more. We've rewatched Spice World. We have a book club. We have all kinds of good things, and I have some other things in mind that we're going to watch as well. Oh, we're also watching I Love the 90s from VH1, so if any of that interests you, you're welcome to come over to my Patreon. You can join at the lowest tier, which is $1, because times are fucking hard. And you join for $1 and you get all the video content, all of it. You just get all of it. So just come on over. A world where we have to pay for all our friggin' entertainment. I would make it free, but Paramount decided that they hated me, so I literally cannot. But like I said, you can come over for $1 and enjoy the fruits of my labor, as it were. So there's another Teen Mom 2 episode going up hopefully this evening, so we're uploading all the time. We do drops over there, which are like the live chats that we do over here. So if you're interested in that, of course, come over and see us. No obligation, just your beautiful smiling face. Just being here is enough. Thanks. I also I know life is currently a dumpster fire. Everything is very overwhelming and stressful and hard, but the best thing to do when the world is on fire is to do something with that. I have a viewer who lives in Minnesota, and she was kind enough to send over some links of useful things that we could all be doing to help other people in Minnesota, and you know, certainly a good jumping off point to help the people in your community. So I have linked those things below. I so encourage you to check those out before you think about a Patreon even. Fuck the Patreon. Check the links down below. I will keep adding to this list, and it will be in my bio in perpetuity for now. In perpetuity for now. That doesn't make any sense. All right. My job is to give you something to watch, so I should start doing that. So Colleen Ballinger recently did 2 nights of her one-woman show, which took at least like 180 people by storm. They went really well. After my video where I talked about how she brought back Miranda Sings and how there was no footage. A lot of you I brought up that a lot of New York City theaters are very, very strict when it comes to filming policies inside theaters, which is true, but apparently in the smaller cabaret venues, which like I've been to a handful, but not in a long time, so maybe they've gotten a lot more lax with like the advent of a smart telephone and whatnot. So apparently in the smaller cabaret venues, it's not usually restricted unless the artist restricts it. So do with that info what you may. But shortly after I uploaded that video talking about it, Colleen finally uploaded a vlog after about 2 weeks of not uploading any vlogs about her little weekend in New York City. And I watched part of the first one and I was bored, which, like, New York City is my favorite place on the planet. If you can bore me with a New York City vlog, listen, there are 2 things that I love. I mean, there are a lot of things that I love, but 2 things that I love are New York City, and I miss it terribly. I haven't been there in over 10 years at this point, which is a travesty. And 2, I love vlogs. I'm a huge sucker for vlogs. I love vlog content. I was fucking bored with her vlog. Do with that what you may. So I stopped watching it at some point. I sort of just like skimmed through it to see if she shared any of the footage from the actual show, just to kind of get an idea of like what the show was like. And she shared like little bits and pieces, which were just her regaling us with her process, I guess, of writing a show. Now, she used to write her shows, I do believe, with her brother Chris, who now lives in Spain, where the Von Ballingers now reside, I assume, to circumvent child labor laws for YouTube, but that's neither here nor there. She also used to work closely with Corey to produce these shows, and she had to do it herself this time. And in this first vlog, she's literally just like up at 3 o'clock in the morning, full belting in what looks like her living room. And her kids are like, Mom, Mom, Mom. Okay, first of all, I love a middle of the night dance party as much as the next middle-aged lady. That being said, I'm not gonna be belting in my living room no matter how big my house is at the risk of waking up my small children. And it seems like they were up all night. Now, I don't expect them to be good sleepers because she's literally spent their entire toddlerhood, like when they wake up in the middle of the night, putting a camera in their face. But like, why don't you rent out a rehearsal studio or something? I don't know. That's besides the point. Anyway, she goes through this whole process of like showing us how she writes songs. One of them was about religious trauma. The other was about getting cock blocked by her kids. Which, like, both are relatable topics. But I suppose this was the content that was supposed to be geared towards the adults. Her new crowd of, like, mom fans or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. If you found it funny, you found it funny. At least it was something different adjacent. And you can see in her preparation that she's preparing like this allusion to Miranda Sings by putting the like outfit on a microphone stand, right? But here's the thing. She still has the photo, which if I still have it, I'll put it here. The photo of her hugging someone. I don't recall who it is, but I'm sure it'll come up in the picture. And she is in the garb. She's in the Miranda Sings like sweatshirt and sweatpants, even though she's obscured. You can see it. So, I mean, I haven't talked to anybody who was there. I haven't really even looked too far into any of the subreddits about her to see if she actually went full Miranda. But what I did notice, and I haven't watched all of this clip, I've saved about 10 minutes of her next vlog, which is called Exploring New York and Talking About Mental Health. And I'm going to say something controversial yet brave. If you're going to use proper like capitalization in a title, you have to do it all the way through, okay? I don't use capitalization in mine. I have a weird thing about capital letters. I don't know why, but I didn't go to Catholic school to not learn how to properly capitalize a title, okay? It should be capital, 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 the and being no capital, correct. Talking should be capital. About should be capital. Mental health should be capital. Otherwise, if it's just a sentence, it should be exploring New York. Should be the only things that are capitalized. Mental health should not be capitalized, okay? It's not proper noun. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest. That was really important to me. Anyway, so she uploaded this video where she's performing here on stage. And, you know. Was walking along, taking it sunshine. Learn the word. Yeah. Why are we still doing the Miranda Sings bit? It's done. Like, I can't imagine wanting to listen. listen, on one hand, I can understand being like resting on your laurels and going back to like the things that made you famous, that made you a lot of money, that brought in the most views, blah, blah, blah. But like after a cancellation I use loosely. I think a lot of people in the comments get confused. Like, I don't necessarily believe in cancel culture. I think Colleen is the closest we've ever gotten to it. But I don't personally think cancel culture is a real thing. I think a lot of people who get called out for things call it cancel culture when it just means that you're being held accountable, and sometimes not in the nicest ways. Like, I will say that, you know, there are a lot of times where like even I, if you can imagine, have been too fucking mean to people for smaller infractions, okay? And I am not like the end all be all of accountability culture, okay? Like, holding people accountable is something that I think a lot of commentary channels focus on, myself included. And I think if a lot of creators actually like took the time to like listen to some of the things that we have to say, like, I know I might not be palatable for somebody who is the subject of my video because I can be a snarky, sarcastic bitch. And I'm very much aware of that. Like, that's kind of my brand. But like, at the core of it, I try to actually have a shred of like humanity to me. Except when it comes to James Charles. He can get fucked. But people in the comments saying things like, well, why can't we just move on and live and let live? And why do we have to harp on this forever? And I think the reason, and no, that's no shade to the people who have commented that, because it was a very, you know, I've had some pretty good discourse with people in the comments. So I don't mean to say that to shade them. And I think my thing is, if the person in question has genuinely taken accountability, and when we say taken accountability, I feel like that means so many things to so many people. So I will just tell you what I think in my estimation, okay? If one is taking accountability for something they did, and this is like a major thing, like being accused of grooming children, or being accused of sending lewd photos with sexual intent to children, James Charles, you know, I was looking through some of like let me see if I can find them. I was looking through some of the screenshots that come up. You know, there are screenshots of her making fun of like teenagers and little kids in these group chats. There are screenshots of her talking about like how she fell in love with her husband, like in detail. Screenshots after the fact that say things like, I love you all to death, always, forever. You guys are my friends, and I talk to you with no boundaries, and will continue to because I love you. But just curious if I did something that was in 2017. Because I think a lot of times we forget how gross a lot of these messages were. Just so you know, you're not just a fan. None of y'all are. I adore you with all my heart. You're my friends. Don't let anyone make you believe otherwise. I would have nothing if it weren't for you guys. You're my rock. Love you forever, no matter what. To children, tell me what move I should make on ball cocker, cock blocker, stock dick. Down below, one of the users says, suck his dick. I mean, I think it's important to remind ourselves like what this woman's being canceled for. You know what I mean? And then they're all talking about Josh, her ex-husband, having a small penis. And Colleen talking about how her current husband is ripped. Okay, I'm gonna go to him and say, hi Patrice, I'm ready to stress eat your wiener, so show me your ball cocker. Like, clearly they have like an inside gag going here, and it's gross. This is shit you talk about with your actual friends who are also adults. You know what I mean? It's not the contents of the message as much as it is where those contents are going, which is to a group of children. So, I mean, yeah, she can go on and live her life. Yeah, she can go on and continue to work, I guess. But, like, until she owns up to, like, what she has done specifically, and I don't mean, like, she has to go line by line, but, like, you know, yeah, she said, yes, I was inappropriate. You know, there should have been boundaries. Okay, but like what specific boundaries? Because like if her child was in a group chat with an adult who was, you know, famous or not, who was talking to them like that, that wouldn't be okay with her, and I know it. So it's, to me, it's like, what would you, as a parent, what would you want someone who didn't have bad intentions to say if they hurt your child in some way? That's what I think Colleen is like. That's where I think like her perspective is just completely lacking. So yeah, whatever. She's going to carry on. She's going to keep working online. She's going to keep doing shows. I guarantee there's going to be Los Angeles shows soon for whatever the hell it is she's putting together. It is what it is. Like I said, cancel culture isn't real. You know, she's still the only person that's supporting her family. So she's got to do what she's got to do. But like, if you're planning on going to these shows, or like you're still like a diehard supporter, like I would really like encourage you to look at the other side of it and put yourself in the perspective of these kids who later realize like, wow, that was really inappropriate to be in conversations like that. Or at the very least, like what would it be like if it happened to her kids? You know, if this was her children being asked to put their hands, you know, into, you know, a performer's pants to get cheese balls, like, would that be okay? You know, I think we just need to use our critical thinking skills a little bit. I got a little carried away on that tangent, but we're gonna watch the rest of this video. Like I said, I haven't watched any of it, really. Except I saw this part.
Hello, welcome to SAS the podcast. I'm forcing Rachel to start the episode right now because I'm too excited. We're gonna do a SAS trip in Vegas.
Oh, you son of a...
I knew Abby'd be excited. A little bird told me about a show that's happening that I was like, oh, I have to go to that with Rachel.
What show?
Hillary Duff.
Oh my gosh, you're lying. Oh.
You know, I think it's interesting that anytime Colleen is like under fire or is doing something like new or whatever, or like controversial, she always goes to see some show that no one else could like get to or afford to get into or whatever, just to like, just to really stick it in my personal craw, you know what I'm saying? Hillary Duff would hate you. And she certainly wouldn't let her kids watch Miranda Sings. Anyway, let's watch the rest of this video. I haven't seen the rest of this, so let's watch together.
Hello everyone, I'm home and I'm unpacking my suitcase, which is shocking because usually I leave my suitcase packed but just open with everything kind of growing out of the suitcase.
Okay, I'm not one to like trash somebody's looks. By the way, I wasn't trashing her looks before. I was commenting on when I said she looked like Grimsby from The Little Mermaid. It's literally just the green that puts the filter of her camera, which she admits to using and not wanting to not use because she doesn't like the way she looks, even though she knows that it alters the beauty standards for young women who are her target audience. I wasn't saying that she was ugly. I was just saying that the filter she uses makes her look green. Again, can we please use the critical thinking skills? I try not to make jokes about people's appearance, especially if it's not something that they could change in like 5 minutes. It's a good rule. Teach your children that. I live by that for the most part, I think. I try. I'm not a perfect person. Hooba stank. What I was gonna say is, her lips look crusty as fuck, girl. Go get a makeup wipe and wipe that shit off.
And I leave it like that for a month. But I'm trying to clean up my room a little bit and I thought I would chat with you guys while I do that. I'm not sure what to do with this box. I gave this box to the kids so they had something to look forward to every day when I was gone. So in this box there were little baggies that had gifts in them every single day, like stickers or, you know, puzzles, something like that. On this side is the kids and this side is me and Eric, and every day the kids got to move it over to show them how many more sleeps they had until they got to see us again. But they loved it so much, so I don't want to throw the box away because it worked so well, and if I ever go on a trip again for exactly 6 sleeps, I could use the box again.
Girl, throw the fucking box away. Colleen's gonna be on Hoarders one day. Throw it away. You're gonna put that aside for the next time you go away for exactly 6 days? Not to put too fine a point on it, but that's fucking nuts.
Is this the hoarder in me? Is this one of those things where I should throw this away?
It is. It really is. I promise you, girl. just throw away the box. It will be fine.
Where am I going to store this huge box that's essentially a piece of trash? You guys tell me in the comments. Tell me if I should throw this away or if I should keep it. But does keeping it make me a little bit too hoardery? Tell me what to do.
Girl, you're almost 40. You can make a decision whether or not to throw out a box. You could literally put those Velcro tabs on your wall and do the same thing next time. Throw out the box.
Oh, you guys, Maisie got this cat for Christmas that she loves so much. It's her favorite kitty cat in the world. It looks like this, but it breathes. I don't know if you can see its stomach kind of going up and down like that. And if you can hear it, like purrs. I don't know if you can hear that. It just sounds like a marble kind of rolling around, but you can't turn it off. At least as far as I know, you can't turn it off. And it just kind of always is doing that.
Okay, well that's abnormal. You likely can turn it off. What would be the point of a toy you could never ever turn off? Although this is America, so to get you to buy another toy would be the answer.
But I'll hear it in the middle of the night and it's so haunting. So I need to get this out of my room. That trip was so much fun. These are the bags, by the way, that the kids opened each day. I put their faces on each day and who cares? Okay, moving on. What am I talking about? I was talking about the trip. Okay, going back. You know what? I don't know that I am capable of cleaning my room and also staying focused enough to talk to you guys about the trip. So let me find a new location where I'm just focused on talking to you so that I can say goodbye on this vlog. Oh my God. Daisy likes to sit here and look out the window at the possums and the raccoons and the skunks, and she watches them walk around.
She's looking for Gus, probably. Well, at least someone is, I guess.
That trip was so surprisingly wonderful. I didn't know what to expect going into it, but I certainly was expecting the worst. I think my brain has just been so trained to just assume the worst lately, which is not a good way to be and not a good way to live. And it's something I need to work on more. I just wanted to try performing again and see how it went. And so I just put together this little show for family and friends and a few of you that wanted to come and raise some money for a great organization.
Ah, yes, a great organization. Children Cancer.
And it was really eye-opening and just healing and lovely. And everyone was so nice. Everyone was so nice.
Well, good. At least Colleen got to heal. That's what's important. It's important to evade responsibility for a long time, mock the people you hurt, and then wedge in a half-assed acknowledgement in a vlog for about 3 minutes, ignore it for another year or so, and then go on a podcast and speak in only vague terms with victim-blaming language and not even addressing all of the things that were done or accused. And then I guess it's time for you to heal.
Sounds about right.
I talk a lot more about it and the experience and my feelings on it all on the SAS podcast this week. So if you guys want to go listen to that, you can listen to that whether you're a member or not. But if you're a member, you can watch it and see all that I have to say and think about it. But it was just really great. And if you did happen to come to the show, thank you. And you were so nice. Thank you for being so nice. I won't go into too much detail about all of my feelings on it all. I'll save that for therapy. But oh my gosh, is that a raccoon or my husband? Quote of the night. I guess we'll never know.
Wow, she's so quirky and funny.
But I will say one thing, and I'm saying this for any mothers out there or anyone honestly who is going through something hard in general, because I don't know, it might be encouraging to hear. After I had Flynn, I had postpartum anxiety, and I never really felt back to myself like I was me after having him. I felt like a version of myself after Flynn, but I never felt like I fully got back to me. I never exited that postpartum anxiety because I went right into getting pregnant again, having a miscarriage.
I mean, I'm not here to knock her personal experience and tell her what she's experienced is not true, because it very well could be. But the time when I watched Colleen's content was when she was pregnant with her first son and shortly thereafter. And the moment she had her son, I remember her birth video, she literally said, I feel like me again, immediately. When she did a mukbang with Trisha Paytas shortly thereafter, what she said was, it was so crazy. Once I had him, it felt like I was back in my own body. For the longest time, she kept saying, oh, I feel like me again. When I'm pregnant, I didn't feel like me at all. I'm not saying she didn't have postpartum anxiety, but I'm saying, like, this feels quite disingenuous considering how much she emphasized, like, wow, I hated being pregnant, and as soon as the pregnancy was over, I felt like myself again.
And then he came out, and it was like the most amazing moment of my life, because the second he came out of me, I felt like I came back in my own body, because for 9 months I felt like I wasn't me. I felt like sad and depressed and emotional and awful and miserable for my whole pregnancy. Like, I hated it. So the second he came out, I literally felt like it was like spiritual. It was like I felt like a baby. Like, the baby came out and I came back into my life. It was crazy. And then I was just like the happiest I've ever been in my life.
You were right away.
Right away, the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Oh yeah, have you talked about that? Like how you thought like maybe you had like postpartum, like people warned you?
Yeah, people warned me that I would have postpartum depression, might have it. Some people, a lot of women get it,
Yeah.
which is you get a rush of hormones after you have the baby, and sometimes it can be negative, have a negative effect on you, and you can get really super depressed. But I think it was the opposite for me. I think my pregnancy, I had that. And
Right.
in my pregnancy, I was super depressed and sad, and then now that I had the baby, I'm like the happiest I've ever been.
Obviously, postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety can show up for years. Some studies suggest up to like 7 years in the postpartum area. I don't know. I'm not trying to like discount her experience, right? Like, she experienced what she experienced. That's not what I'm not saying, like, that didn't happen. You're full of shit.
Because I went right into getting pregnant again, having a miscarriage, then getting pregnant again with the twins, which was amazing. But I had really bad depression while I was pregnant with the twins, and then postpartum depression was very bad, and so was postpartum anxiety. And then my mental health struggles just really snowballed all the way up until here we are now. I had Flynn 7 years ago, so that means it's been 7 full years where I have not really felt fully like myself.
8, actually, if you include pregnancy. Closer to 8. Which, okay, fine, fair. I had postpartum depression. I had postpartum anxiety, okay? It's nothing to fuck with. It's, if you are experiencing it, please get help. It's all-consuming, and it's insanely awful. And I have something not very nice to say, but I'm gonna let her finish first.
I felt like different versions of me, but I felt like who I was pre-children is, you know, that person is just gone, and I've missed her. It sounds really insane to talk about myself in third person like that, but
No, it doesn't. And I understand what she's saying, like 1,000%. You lose yourself in motherhood, like 1,000,000%. For the first, I'd say, I don't know, 18 years of their lives. You lose yourself in motherhood. You do. Good parents lose themselves in being parents, in my opinion. And it's hard not to, because it becomes your whole life, especially when you have, well, I wouldn't even say especially when you have multiple children, because you can do just the same with just one. Your whole life becomes about their health, their happiness, their safety, their well-being, you know, not to mention just the day-to-day parts of life. And they need you so much when they're so little, and then they stop needing you quite as much, but they need you in different ways. And it takes a really long, long time to be something else besides a mother or a parent, we'll just say. So I totally 100% get where she's coming from. And I totally relate to that feeling, but I also still have something kind of not nice to say.
I'm getting to a point. I said this on the podcast, but when I was doing the second performance, there was a moment where I thought to myself, oh, there I am. I felt like me for the first time in so long. And I didn't think I ever would. I just wanted to say that in case anyone out there, moms in particular, you know, oftentimes mothers feel like they lose themselves once they have kids. And of course you gain so much when you have children, and it's the best ever, and you change so much, and it's wonderful. But sometimes there is this longing and missing of the person you were before. Not that you'd want to give up what you have, but you just wish you could still be that person and also have this great new life with your kids. But also, just when life gets hard, sometimes, at least for me, it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes you think there's not going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. You just feel like there's no way anything could ever go back to how it was. And there's no part of me that wishes that I could have the life I had before kids. It's just the me, who I am. I just felt like a big part of me had died.
Well, yeah, a big part of you did die. And I think a big part of the reason why she feels this way is not that she just lost herself in motherhood. because we've seen her like day in the life. Like she's holed up in her office. She's, you know, from what she shows us, not spending extensive time with her kids. You know, obviously we don't see what happens in the other small percentage of time that she's not vlogging. But I think it's deeper than that. I think the cancellation happening at the same time, I think that's where that comes from. Because she can never, like, I could go back on stage. I feel this way a lot, right? Like, I'm like, oh damn, I wish I could go back to, you know, living in my walk-up in Chicago and doing improv, you know, 3 days a week or whatever, careless nights and having a, you know, a beer here and there or whatever. I can't go back to those nights specifically, but if I wanted to, I could go back and start doing improv. I could start doing a fucking stand-up set every once in a while. Like, I could do that shit. I could do those things that made me feel whole in my late 20s. She can't go back to that. She can't go back to making crude jokes to minors or, you know, having this camaraderie in group chats with, you know, young fans. She can't go back to relying on the same shitty jokes and filling up big, you know, what would you call it? Big theaters or bigger theaters or whatever. She can't revert back to what she's already known. I could revert back to what I've known. I could go play make-em-ups with some other adults. She can't. She literally can't. Even if she wanted to, couldn't go back to achieve the same things that she was doing before she had kids. Yeah, she can write these new shows for a small venue of people. But, like, the reality is that until she actually really accepts that she did wrong and what she did wrong and admit those things specifically and to reach out and apologize to the people she hurt specifically, she's never going to feel the level of satisfaction that she thinks she is. Like, you can write all the shows you want, but she's always going to know in the back of her mind that she fucked up and she has not made proper amends for it. So listening to her whine and cry about her mental health struggles, yeah, it's relatable, and yeah, as a human being, I hope she is taking care of her mental health. But if we're being real, what about Adam's mental health? Becky's mental health? Oliver's mental health? Who, by the way, that whole thing fell to the wayside entirely. Colleen's brother Trent was absolutely predatory and absolutely a whole ass problem as it relates to Oliver. If you are unaware of what went down with her brother Trent and Oliver, that whole family's a fucking problem. Not to mention their dad with the weird pregnancy fetish. My point being, what about all these people's mental health? Most of whom were children when all of this shit went down. What about their mental health? Do you think their mental health has been doing okay? Like, obviously Adam McIntyre is doing well. He's doing well for himself. But the psychological toll that takes on somebody, that's going to live in his psyche for the rest of his life, whether he knows it or not, whether he feels it or not. It lives in his body memory for the rest of his life. Same with Becky, same with Oliver. Even Trisha Paytas. Feel however you want about her, but you're fucking sending her nudes to adults and a minor, allegedly, with the sole purpose of making fun of her. What a gross thing to do. And it's morally bankrupt and illegal on top of it all. I don't really want to hear about your mental health when you couldn't even be bothered to take a moment to think of anyone else's. Thank you.
The mental health journey of anxiety and depression over time had corroded my personality and had left this gaping hole in me of who I once was. This sounds so dramatic, but I just wanted to say that, like, I, for a long time, thought I would never, ever, for the rest of my life, feel like myself again. And it happened. I had this great moment on stage where I just felt really happy. And I felt like me. And it was really nice. And then to be able to come home to my kids, and they were so excited. Oh my God, we got to surprise them. They thought we were coming home today, Wednesday, and we surprised them last night, and they screamed. They were so excited. It was so wonderful. And then Flynn started singing. Flynn started singing one of the songs that I sang in the show because they watched the show. They got to watch like a live stream of it.
Oh, that's exciting. So they got to watch you sing a song about them
Cock blocking you and their dad.
Hope that's not the one they were singing.
And Flynn had like memorized the melody and some of the lyrics of one of the songs and was singing it to me and telling me how much he loved one of my songs. I always thought that that would be my future with having kids, is that they would see me perform and they would know their mother as a performer. And that was my first experience with one of my kids, seeing what I do on stage and then like being proud of something that I do on stage.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm really not trying to be a bitch here, but like one of the biggest icks for me is when people are like, I just want my kids to be proud of me. Shouldn't you want to be proud of them and that be your focus? Like, obviously you want to do good things and you want to be like a good role model for your kid, for sure, right? Like, you want to make sure that your kids, you know, see you actively doing the good things you try to reinforce at home, right? Or see you, I don't know, see you excel, sure, and be successful and do what you love and all of that, but like, for the sole purpose of like them being proud of you, it's something that's always sat weird with me. I don't know. I just feel like, and maybe I'm off base here. Let me know if I am. But I always feel like the people who say like, I just want my kids to be proud of me, are like people who like just will seek validation from literally anyone who will give it.
Even though it was just like a little performance, it was really healing for me. And I'm really glad I did it. And I'm so grateful to anyone who came. And I really just meant to say goodbye, and I had a great time in New York and not make it all this, but here we are. Have I ever been not this? This is kind of my thing, I guess. But that's all I'm gonna say. I'm cutting myself off. I don't know what the future holds for me, for my career, for my life, for this channel, for anything that I do. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just floating like a fart in the wind.
Okay, well that's about the end of that vlog. I just find it really rich that we get, you know, an 8-minute video of Colleen like happy sobbing about feeling like herself again and how healing performing was for her after like leaving all these people in the dust to like fight their own demons that she gave them from like her own misbehavior. It's just so, I don't know. Whatever. Like I said, she's gonna keep working, she's gonna keep doing what she does, she's gonna keep emoting. It is what it is. I'm not here to stop her. She's got an audience that will watch. There's at least like 15,000 of them ish that consistently do so. That's totally fine. It is what it is. But like, if you're gonna be in that audience, at least know what happened. Inform yourself. Use critical thought. I also like just don't feel like I could, and maybe this is just my own personal hang up, like I don't feel like, as we're about the same age, she's gonna turn 40 this year, I believe, and I just turned 40, so like I feel like even in my 30s, any of my 30s, I do not think I had one video on this channel where I cried in a vlog, and I don't think that that's something I could continue to feasibly do. She obviously treats her vlog channel like her fucking diary, and group chats like a fucking burn book, but I don't think at 40 I could sit here and like look into the, well, at least with one of my eyes, look into the lens of the Canon and start crying and like regaling you with the tale of my mental health. I saved that shit for Patreon. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. I do not cry on Patreon. Yet. Ow, my eye! Make sure you're subscribed. Head over to the Patreon if you want to. No obligation there. Make sure you like the video. Definitely an obligation there. And make sure you check out the links down below. Mandatory. Be careful. Be safe. I love you. Goodbye. Sort of like a smorgasbord. Smorgasbord? What is that word? Smorgasbord. Sounds like something the Swedish chef would have come up with, you know what I'm saying? Anyway,